Hey everyone, I've just jumped off my 4 p.m. Facebook Live call, and today what we spoke about was procrastination. And I was kind of having a little bit of a tease and a little bit of a joke with all the people on the call. Today was supposed to be the day that we went back to work, or pretty close to it. I think tomorrow would have been the day. So lockdown season 1 would have ended if we'd finished it today. So I asked the question, what are some of the things that you said on day 1 that you were going to do in the next 21 days? And now that we've got to the end of 21 days, you've done none of them. That's procrastination, right? We said we're going to do things and we didn't do them. And I gave the story of the first time that I went skydiving as a clear example of procrastination. It was slightly before my 40th birthday. I'd always spoken out loud about, wow, I'd love to try skydiving, but I always wondered what it would be like sitting on the edge of the plane about to be pushed out into the sky. I always wondered what that feeling would feel like. And I used to openly have discussions with friends and family, and so I'm pretty much 50-50. I'm sitting on the fence as to whether I would be absolutely petrified or whether I'd find it exhilarating. And the conversations happen more and more regularly, and eventually on the morning of my 40th birthday, I'll never forget, my little boy Thomas, he brings in this white envelope with a blue ribbon around it. And he didn't have to say anything. I just saw the look on his face, and immediately the knot in my stomach just grew tighter and tighter and tighter. I knew what it was. And when I opened that envelope and I saw the skydiving voucher for a 10,000-foot jump, I literally just started churning up inside. The fear was there already. But of course, I put on a brave face. Thanks, boy. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, family. They'd called me on it. They'd called me on this conversation that I'd had so many times. And now was my opportunity to go skydiving. So the first thing I did when I looked at the voucher was I saw that there was an expiration date. There was an expiry date for 6 months after May. And that became my first release. It was like, whew, I don't have to do anything now. I've got time. And from that day in May, I came up with every possible excuse as to why I wasn't going to go skydiving. At first it was I don't have time, then it was never the perfect weekend, there was always something going on, or it wasn't the right weather. No, the weather forecast doesn't look good for this Saturday. And I wanted to go skydiving on a clear blue sky day. If I was going to do this, it had to be a clear blue sky day. So if it was bad weather forecast, I would just make an excuse. Then I allowed other people's reasoning to become my excuses as well. And I'll never forget a fellow Remax franchisee from Port Elizabeth. She said to me once, she said, "Are you crazy?" She got Afrikaans accent. She said, "Are you crazy? Why would you go skydiving? You've got so many people who rely on you. You've got your business, your employees, all their families. You've got your family. And what happens if something happened to you? That's totally sort of reckless. You shouldn't do that." And then that became a sort of thought process in my mind. Am I right doing this? Am I right going skydiving? But essentially what I was doing was avoiding, right? Procrastination is avoidance, plain and simple. And we spend so much energy and so much time coming up with all the possible reasons and excuses of why we should be doing other things other than the things that we know are important to us, that will take us forward in our life. And it's avoidance. Imagine if we used that same energy that we use to make up all these reasons and excuses in our minds to do something else. Imagine if we took the energy and we put it into actually doing the things that we were supposed to do. How different would our lives be? So you and I, we procrastinate on a daily basis. And as I said, it's one of the most popular forms of self-sabotage because it's just so easy, especially if you don't tell anyone about what you want to do. You can procrastinate anything. But this is why a goal is time-bound. So if we look at the SMART objectives of setting a goal, the T stands for time-bound. And the one thing that kills procrastination is a deadline. Because if we know we have to do something by a specific date, you can wait, and procrastinate till the last minute. And I used to do this when I was studying. I would wait till like 2 nights before the exams, but I knew that there was a date and a deadline that it had to be finished by. It had to be over, and I'd get it done by then. So back to my story, 5 months and 21 days went by before I took my voucher into the office and I gave it to my PA at the time, Kosh. I said, "Kosh, this is about to expire. I need help." That's an accountability partner, right? So I've spoken about accountability partners, someone who's just going to hold you accountable to the goal. I gave her the voucher, and about a day later, I was walking out of my office. I'd packed up. I was leaving a bit early, and she came running out the office, and she said, "Grant, you got 2 choices, the 15th or the 22nd. Which one do you want?" I said, "For what?" She said, "Skydiving, 15th or the 22nd. I said, 22nd. She went back and she booked it, and it happened. And here was me procrastinating literally, I think I jumped a day before the 6 month of that voucher expiring. And to sort of fast forward to the end of the story, I'll never forget jumping out of that airplane. It was the 30 seconds of free fall at 200 kilometers per hour was probably the most exhilarating experience I've ever felt in my life. It was one of the best days I've ever experienced in terms of pure adrenaline and exhilaration. And I've done it since again, and I'm going to do it every single year because I absolutely loved it. And, I often think back and I go, wow, imagine if I'd procrastinated to the point where I expired that voucher and I never got to experience that exhilaration. So I ask you, how many things in your life are you procrastinating away? What would your life be like in 5, 10, 20 years from now if all those important things that you said you were going to do, you didn't do them? How would your life be different? What is the risk assessment of doing nothing for the rest of your life? How fulfilled would you be? At what level would your life be in 5 or 10 years if you don't take little chances every now and then, if you don't confront fears? And the thing with procrastination, and I'm going to end on this, is procrastination comes from two things. Number one, you either don't want it enough. Whatever you're pursuing, whatever you're going to do, doesn't have a strong enough meaning, a strong enough intention, purpose, whatever you want to call it, strong enough why. Your desire is not strong enough. That's why you're not doing it. Or number two, you're avoiding a fear. You're not doing something because you're afraid of taking action. And I just challenge you today, make a list of all the things that you said you were going to do, not just in the last 21 days of lockdown. What are the things that you said you were going to do in the last 5 years of your life that you either have not had a strong enough purpose or reason to really get stuck into it, or secondly, something that you're fearful of and you haven't taken action. And then imagine what your life would be like in 5 or 10 years if you hadn't done any of those. And some of them are not business, right? What about repairing a relationship, phoning a friend or someone who you haven't spoken to in 10 years? You're fearful of making that call. How many of you have family members that you haven't spoken to in years because you're just too fearful to pick up the phone and make that call? Well, what if you did nothing? What's the risk of doing nothing and not making that call? How would your life be in 5 or 10 years if you don't make that phone call or don't take that action? So think about that. Procrastination, we all do it, but it can be a killer.